Howdy, everybody. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business psychology and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Michael F. Schein, who is the founder and president of Microframe Media, a marketing agency that specializes in making idea-based companies famous in their fields. Some of his clients have included eBay, Magento, University of Pennsylvania, Gordon College, University of California, Irvine, United Methodist Publishing House, Ricoh, LinkedIn, and Citrix. His writing has appeared in Fortune, Forbes, Inc., Psychology Today, and Huffington Post, and he is a speaker for international audiences spanning from the northeastern United States to the southeastern coast of China. His book, The Handbook, 12 Indispensable Success Secrets from the World's Greatest Propagandists, Self-Promoters, Cult Leaders, Mischief Makers, and Boundary Breakers, published by McGraw Hill, appears everywhere books are sold, starting January 12th, 2021. Michael, how you doing? Let us know how you're doing and anything I might have missed.
I am doing great. It's such a pleasure to be here. I should make one small correction, and only because it's the part of the book that usually causes the most controversy. It's called the Hype Handbook, which is the hype part is what gets most people worked up. So I figured it's good to put that in there.
Well, that title is awesome. I read it the first time. I thought, my gosh, this is a long title. But then I read it and I thought, my gosh, this is a cool title. So you're welcome. Okay, so let's jump in. I like to start off with asking people, because people that have been out there being creative, creating things, making things happen, lots of decisions come in front of them. And I was wondering if you had the opportunity to go back in time and change one decision, first off, would you do it? And second, if you would do it, what would you change it to?
It's funny because a lot of times I've never heard this specific question, but I have heard people ask people about their regrets and things like that. And a lot of times prominent figures will say, I wouldn't change a thing. It made me who I was, right? You hear that a lot. I beat myself up 24/7. Like, I am constantly second guessing myself. And I don't think that's a healthy thing to do. I'm not recommending it, but I'm constantly saying to myself, what if I would have done this? And what if I would have done that? But the fact of the matter is, I'm really trying to learn that there's no way to tell the future. I mean, you make the decisions sort of based on the information you have. I guess if I had to pick one thing I might have done differently. So I was at a job for 8 years that I kind of fell into, and I ended up doing well there. I mean, financially, I fell into it, but I'm a hard worker. So I ended up as VP of solution development. To this day, I'm not sure what that title means, but
but you were there.
And it was a lot of hours. I don't know what we were doing to around solution development. But I guess I feel like the first 3 to 5 years, I learned a lot. It turned me from being kind of an artsy guy who was ambitious but didn't really have the skills to turn my ambition into money. It gave me the skills to do that. I don't know that I needed to be there for 8 years. I would say the last 4, 5, 6, 7, or the last like maybe 3 to 4 years I was there out of fear. You know what I mean? I feel like I could have made a move earlier and have gotten farther earlier and learned just as much. So if there's any regret at all, it's that.
Okay. Makes sense. And I hear that a lot, especially from creative types and people like that, if there's anything they could change, and most of them are, not changing a lot, but they would do whatever they're doing sooner.
Right.
They just would have made that move, that jump. And, a lot of times it's the same answer. They were just afraid to move because they hadn't done it before, which is.
And I thought I was being original. Can you imagine that? Human beings are just so much alike. It's funny. I see that time and time again. We all think we're individuals and we behave the same way over and over again.
A lot of it. But that kind of rolls into my next question, where in this path that you've taken to get to where you are right now, is there one thing was super positive that you decided on, and that, you look back at it and you look at everything before that point and everything after that point? It's kind of like a milestone. Do you have anything like that you've run across?
Yeah. I mean, I tell this story a lot on interviews, mainly because I'm doing a lot of interviews now to promote the book I just wrote, and it's
Mm-hmm.
directly tied to that. But I picked a fight publicly in print with a very prominent person, and I was scared to death to do it. So I had left my job, and I had like a year's worth of savings, and I was going to be a freelance uh, copywriter or content writer or whatever you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it at the time. And I was getting some jobs, but I wasn't making enough money to live, and I was really burning through my savings. And I had sort of like talked my way into a column at Inc. magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and Gary Vaynerchuk, who I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, he's a big marketing guru.
Right.
Um, I first of all think he's extremely, extremely smart, and he had Wine Library TV, which was fantastic. I also think a lot
Yep.
of the advice, especially 10 years ago, that he was giving young people was better for Gary Vaynerchuk than it was for the young people that he was giving it to. It helped build his following. And
Mm-hmm.
I took issue with this advice, and I wrote an article called "Why Gary Vaynerchuk is Flat Out Wrong," and I was really scared to send it. I don't know if this was like, I don't know if this was just like my reimagining of the event, but I have this like image of my hand like hovering over the send button, before I sent it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was a big wig and still is, and I was not. But I sent it, and it had a worse result than I thought. He got angry. He recorded a video calling me out by name, lambasting me, just destroying me. And I was like, my
Wow.
career is ruined. And it was like the start of my career, because there were all these people who felt the same way that I did, apparently. And all his fans were blowing up my phone
Mm-hmm.
and my Twitter, which was newer at the time. You're an idiot. You don't know how to work hard, blah, 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 which was certainly not the case, because I was working like a dog and making no money. But,
Yeah.
but anyway, there were all these people who felt that I did, and I started to build a following. So that was when I realized that, like, if sometimes it's really good to take bold stands. And I think a lot of my career after that, it was just in one form or another taking bold stands like that I was maybe a little afraid to take.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And I mean, I know I've followed Gary's videos since before he was famous. I can't remember
Yeah.
how I even found him, but I found him when he was doing the wine stuff,
Yeah, which
this
was
wine
great.
with that and this wine
Yeah.
with that. And I remember seeing a video of his one time that was so bad. I mean, he did everything wrong. He had light behind him. You couldn't even
Right.
see him. I mean, he was just a silhouette. And I thought, God, this guy is terrible. And, but yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome. I think I probably would have been terrified myself. I probably would have hovered over the send button. I don't know if I would have pushed it, but that goes into the next thing that I was going to ask or wanted to talk about is when you get to those points that you got to take a step, you got to make a decision, or I mean, you don't have to, but it's there in front of you. People get stuck. So, whether it's just something simple for me, like writer's block, or like for you pressing the send button on the article, what do you do? What mentally or physically, emotionally do you go through to get unstuck and to move past those points? If you'd share some of that.
Now, this is only me. I mean, I don't know what other people do. I get desperate. In other words, like, I don't think I'm kind of a split personality. Like, on one hand, I'm kind of a goody two shoes. I was a good student in school. Maybe it's because I'm smart. I think mainly it was because I was just I followed the rules. I got A's. I did my work. I didn't particularly party a lot, in high school and that sort of stuff, whatever. At the same time, all of my idols have always really been Mischief Makers. Like the kind of music I liked in high school was punk rock, which is kind of synonymous with mischief. The
Yeah.
books, the books that I read were always sort of rebellious books. And I sort of had that little twinkle in my eye, intellectually maybe, although I wouldn't have called it then, that's mischievous. So I guess I've always been torn between the two. Like, there's part of me that wants people to like me, and that's probably the bigger part. And that so like I sometimes think it's hard for me to do what needs to be done. I think a lot of times it's because I'm so ambitious and I so much want to be my own boss and I so much want to get my ideas out in the world that like, it's like, okay, I'm really terrified to do this. I'm anguished about it. I went back and forth. But what's the alternative? Becoming a vice president of solution development again? You know what I mean? So like, so I got to do it, you know? It's like the pain of not doing it is worse than the alternative, I guess. So I don't have a pat answer. It's more like just, I know what it takes to have a shot, not even to make it, but to have a shot. And you got to take action. But I agonize over decisions. I'm not one of these people who just quick decisions, easy, you know, water off the back. I'm not that guy, you know?
Yeah. No, but that's great advice. I mean, yes, be afraid. Yes, be scared. Do it anyway. It's what we used to say where I came from. You know, go ahead, just jump. So, okay. If you, and you probably get this question, you've had this question, especially in interviews. If you had to start over, what would you do? Knowing what you know now, either going to where you want to go, where you are now, or going someplace else. What would you do if you started over from scratch?
I don't know, because I don't think I figured it out yet. You know, like I don't think that I know other people have said this about themselves. I think I heard a pretty famous writer say it on a podcast the other day. But they asked him like, oh, what did you do to become successful? He's like, I don't feel successful. You know what I mean? So in other words, like, so I've got a book coming out, as you mentioned, in January. And I thought of myself as a writer, but before I thought of myself as a business person. And when I got that book deal, it was a project I had in my mind for 5 years. I had 2 literary agents, big literary agents. Neither of them could sell it. I came this close. People said to me, I love the book, but I love the book, but I love the book, but I couldn't get my sales team to buy it. I was depressed about it. Then I accidentally found my current agent and she had a connection, sold the book, got a great editor. So I got this deal after 5 years of first having the idea and agonizing over this and wanting it so bad that I could taste it. And I still, now all I'm doing is thinking about like, okay, how am I going to make the book sell a lot of copies? You know what I mean? So like, you know, in other words, like, so I don't know what I would do because I don't know, you know, there's a million ways I could have gotten to where I am quicker than I did. There's a million ways I could have become more successful. There's a million ways I could have ended up in a cardboard box. So I guess I don't know what I would have done. Now, if you would ask me that and I was Jeff Bezos, I don't know, maybe I could answer you. I think I built a successful career. I mean, I love my career. I'm happy where I am. But at the same time, I just don't know. There's so many factors. Like, put it this way. Here, I'll give you an example. So I went, 2 guys, Zayu and Sebin, from these guys who have now become friends, but they're from China, but they both moved to the United States when they were 12 and 14. I got a random email from Sebin about 1.5 years ago. He wanted me to cover him in Forbes. First of all, I thought he was spam because there were Chinese characters in this subject thing, but he wasn't. He's a very successful business person, him and his partner, young guys, 23 and 24. Long story short, we hit it off, this, that, and the other. They invited me to China. I spoke in front of a big audience. It was a big success. Then we decided we might do a joint venture together. And the idea we had, which didn't work because it was just an initial idea, was bringing other people like me, high profile individuals, to China. So I set up a bunch of meetings with people I know. One of them was Heidi Krupp, who was a PR agent who used to pitch me on stories. We had dinner at the Palm. She didn't want to go to China, but she asked me what I was doing. I told her about the book idea. She said I could sell that, and she sold it to McGraw Hill. Now, there's a million things, like I could have not written that article. I could have, like, in other words, the number of like complex forces that led to me getting that book deal just makes me think that if I had changed one little thing, it could have made me a zillionaire and it could have made me a homeless person. Like, I just
living in a
know.
box. Yeah.
Exactly. I doubt I would have ended up in a box, but I might have been a vice president of solution development. Which might be worse. Yeah, exactly.
Just a bigger box, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've been in those boxes before.
Yeah.
No, that is a great answer. And I mean, I guess I want to say that it's a lot more common, but I don't think most people see it. I think most people see things in different terms, and they don't really see what you just described, which to me is awesome.
Thank you.
Because just going through the steps, the journeys that you just described, to me, I mean that, and I hate to be not flippant about it, but it's cool. I mean, that sounds like
thank
fun.
you. Yeah, it happened to be fun. That particular experience was a lot of fun, but there was a lot of heartache and hair pulling that got there. I mean, if you had asked me when my first agent sent it to 1 million people and no one wanted my book, and I identify so deeply, I'm like, oh my God, I thought this was a great idea. Does it suck? Am I that bad? Like what, so it's a function of like, when do you interview me? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I hate to not be trite, or I don't mean to be trite, but a lot of it to me is the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know what the destination is going to be, and
No.
I'm not really sure I care. So anyway, super. Michael, thank you very, very much. Going to start wrapping up a little bit. Is there anything that you want to close with, comment on? And do you have anything that you can mention to the listeners that might benefit them that you could offer?
Well, yeah, I mean, my head is now certainly in the book. I mean, the book is if I can plug it for a minute, it's called the Hype Handbook, and it's all about looking at all of the sort of unusual self-promoters of history, because the best marketers tend not to be marketers. They tend to be people who don't consider themselves marketers. All these people building sales funnels and writing marketing books, okay. But at the same time, it's the rock managers, the cult leaders who built 1 million person cults, the propaganda artists who took over a country with their words. And so basically what the book is about is, how do you sort of understand the principles of human psychology that they tapped into, but apply what they did ethically? You know what I mean? Because these principles aren't good or bad. They're not moral or immoral. They're just the way human beings act. So on one hand, there's a lot of real fun stories because those people are very colorful. But on the other hand, I've tried to create really a handbook for sort of timeless, as you would call it, marketing, but really just driving a huge amount of emotion to get people to do what you want them to do, or support your projects, or give you eyeballs, give you money, support your cause, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in the world. So that's the book. It was put out by, as you said, McGraw Hill, coming out on January 12th. So anyone who it sounds interesting to, please check it out. It'd be my pleasure to hear what you think about it.
Well, I'm definitely going to get it, and I'm going to put all the contact information that I can when we publish this in the show notes and any description wherever we publish it. And then I'm going to update it when the book comes out, make sure everybody has a link or can get a link to that. So thank you again very much for your time. Really appreciate you sharing all that with us. I mean, I love your answers. Sorry, they're just awesome.
That's great to hear. Thank you. You're a great interviewer. I really appreciated this.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. Everybody have a safe and productive week, and be the very, very best at whatever you are at. Until next time, this is Tad Stevens, Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.